Hello there. Welcome to the moon in Aries. It's our full moon and it's a warrior moon. It is a very intense placement for your emotions with an Aries moon if you're born with it. I have known very well some friends and dated people who have it, and they have a very strong inner quality of fight, which can be applied in good ways, like they'll have your back no matter what. They'll tell off whoever needs to be told off. They'll call whoever needs to be there to help. They're the best people you'd want if you're in a crisis. And at the same time, if it's misdirected, because they have a hard time integrating all of that, energy into things that are not emergencies or dramatic, then they can often create drama in other ways by making some sort of, I don't know, interpersonal thing into like literally a war. Some of them have a lot of struggle with stuff like road rage or just losing their tempers. It's very hard, depending what sign you are, to handle that energy. It needs a strong outlet to be used in the best way. So an Aries moon needs physical activity, needs an emotional outlet, needs some sort of cause or something to, that wants and requires that level of fight. Otherwise, like I said, it turns inward. It can become horrible depression if it's turned inward enough. It's like anger and rage turned within becomes depression. And otherwise, it becomes sort of narcissistic energy. It can be just always fighting, always bickering. It can be, like I said, creating dramas where there are none. So we're going to take a look at the chart and see how it plays out with the help or hindrance of the other planets. And we'll see how it plays out for you. We'll do readings, the tarot for the general energy, and then for each sign. But this is the core of what we're dealing with. The Sun and Venus are together in Libra, which elevates things and wants it to be very balanced and beautiful and fair and diplomatic and calm. They don't want to fight. And at the same time, Chiron, the wounded healer, is connecting and conjuncting this Aries moon, making the issues that could hurt or harm or provoke the Aries moon even stronger. So let's take a look. If you enjoy my free content, I would love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. Just click the button. I would love it also if you went to Patreon and showed your support. And also, if you would like a reading, then you can always message me here. You can find me at river-rain.com, or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook, whichever you like, and we'll help you out. All right, let's share the screen and take a look at this chart. So I like to always connect things to the news, as you know. But honestly, I find that's more and more and more overwhelming because we're more aware of everything that's going on the planet. It's very hard to say anything generalized. So I would have to do a separate video on, let's say, a chart of the Ukraine and Russia again, like I did back in March. And we'd have to take a look at the charts of, let's say, Iran. We'd have to look at the charts in Florida, or we'd have to take a look at Newfoundland, because there's just been a lot of upheaval and outburst, uprising, destructive energy, whether that's by nature, whether that's by war. But there are some themes that I think are interesting to look at in this chart that could play out in any of those situations, because we've got, as usual, Mr. Pluto, which represents patriarchy, authority, government, can be corporations, can be banks. You know, when you talk about ultimate power and authority, sometimes too much, how does that planet transform? Because it is Pluto. Pluto can destroy and it can transform, meaning government, banks, whoever, are in a position to either grant rights, grant aid, gather support and oppose other governments, or not. So we have to see what plays out. But this chart sort of would say they do have the power, and it's in the 11th house, Pluto, which means it's all about communities and groups. You know, the sacrifices that you make of your own ego, your own identity, to be part of the group. And so there's going to be some pressure on governments, banks, corporations, whoever has, the say, the means to do the bailouts so people can have somewhere to stay when their homes have been destroyed, to adjust the laws to honor the protests that are going on, to as we've seen already with Ukraine, to reclaim and dispute the executive decision of Mr. Putin to say, oh no, those countries, those areas belong to us now. We wrote it into law, so therefore it is. And which is very Plutonian, power tripping. We're ultimate power. That's it. That's what we're doing. And we see all this opposition to it. Ukraine was already in there burning the flag going, no, you don't. No, that's actually not happening. So we'll see what the powers that be do with the power they have. Otherwise, we'll see what kind of struggle is going on here. So without relating it to global politics, let's just talk about the energy in general and how you might feel it. Again, is there an authority figure or power that be in your life? That could be a boss, that could be a bank, that could be government stuff that you need, paperwork, I don't know. This could be even sometimes the grandfather, father, hopefully not your husband, but could be. This could be landlords, anybody with power. Now, our full moon is down here, Aries, moon, Chiron in Aries conjunct. This is a bit nasty, okay? We already said Aries moon can have the need to fight. It has to protect and defend itself. It has to defend its own honor and others' honor if provoked. Now you've got Chiron, the wounded healer, on there. That's like, has a set. Chiron in Aries means that you have a wound of your sense of self. So if somebody doesn't have a strong self-image or self-worth, then the wounded factor and the way it plays out with their neediness or their temper or their anger gets exaggerated. So if you feel that you are not being seen, not being taken seriously, not being cared for, if you feel that people are not listening to you, the fierceness of your reaction could be more intense during this full moon. Opposing Pluto, well, you might be taking on those patriarchal bodies or power or authorities. You might be challenging them, stepping up to them. Sometimes, you know, the moon Chiron there could literally be feeling like a cry for help. Now, opposing all of that, opposing Pluto as well, and opposing, we have the Sun and Venus in Libra. And it's in the 7th house, which is where it's happy, which is partnerships, marriages. So it's very much at home, those two planets. And they are above the horizon, they're exalting things. So the desire for a peaceful solution, for diplomatic solutions, to writing things down, to sitting down and having a meeting first, to listening to all sides before dashing in, to verifying things, you know, before you put them in writing and overlord them to another country. There's a higher noble factor there that wants to bring out the best, most diplomatic, fair, and peaceful solution. So you've got that energy over there. Just think of Lady Justice standing there and saying, we will talk this through. We will find a good solution. And Chiron and the moon and Aries are going, what about me? What about me? You never talk to me. You're not listening to me. That's the kind of thing. And then Pluto and Capricorn might come along and go, no, that's not how it's happening. So what are you going to do with that? Right? This is the main squares and oppositions going on in this chart. Sort of universal themes, right? How do you get yourself out of that? Then we've got some other interesting squares going on towards the bottom of the chart. We've got Mercury sitting over here in Virgo. So Mercury in Virgo is going to go over every detail to the letter, to the number, to the decimal point. It's analytical. It's more cooled off. It's rational. That can be very helpful in any of these situations if you have somebody helping you think things through. It's in the 7th house. We've got like somebody who might be a negotiator. You might have mediation. You might have somebody who says, well, that's what you're saying, but I went through the manual, or I went and double checked this, and that's what it is, you know? So you've sort of got, you know, a rational fact-checking mind somewhere around that could help you in these situations. Now, that Mercury is squaring off with Mars and Gemini, which is also squaring off and then opposing Neptune and Jupiter. Neptune's still in Pisces, Jupiter's in Aries, both retrograde. Now, this is a little more complicated. These are all mutable signs. They're all like willing to adapt and shift and change. So when you've got people around who, let's say you've got two people who are like adaptable and they might take a stand, but then they go, oh, well, but it's okay. Like I'll figure it out, or I'll adapt myself. But that's what I think, but it's okay. Like if we move the line a little bit. Okay, we'll take 3 of those, actually 4, because there's Jupiter. Now, if you have 4 people going, well, that's what I think, but I'm willing to change. Does anything get done? Does anything get decided? No. There's too much talking. There's too much confusion about stuff. There's too much going on for it to be fixed. So what's that mean? You know, the other initial squares, they're cardinal signs. Pluto, Capricorn, Libra, and Aries are cardinal signs. They're leaders. They know what they want. So when they oppose, because they're sure of themselves, when they oppose, they oppose. They will battle. You know, when mutable signs oppose, they'll go, oh, well, maybe, oh, it's not the same thing. Now, fixed signs, when they square off, explosive, so stubborn. You know, the cardinal signs, because they're leadership related, there's some room for flexibility, but they will stay clear on their position. Mutable signs might shift their position entirely, especially with Neptune and Pisces. They might say, well, that's what I'm feeling. And then they change their mind, you know, or they can't describe it, or they can't commit to it. Mercury and Virgo will be much clearer, though. They'll be like, that's what I said. So Mars and Gemini will generate more and more and more and more and more options, more people, more things to think about, more did you think of that, or more examples. And they'll just keep that going until your head's about to explode. Neptune and Pisces would be like, this is too much to think about. I'm just going to space out now. And Mercury and Virgo's over there going, look, stick to something. You said this, now this. And they'll try to keep them all in check. And they'll get angry. So it's not super effective. It's probably the more frustrating side of this full moon. It's almost easier to know where you stand and have a battle than to be constantly niggling around with people shifting positions all the time. So then where's the best energy in the chart? Well, there's a couple. The best one is, as we see, the Grand Trine, this big blue triangle. This is all the air signs. So Mars and Gemini is invited. So all of those suggestions and people and expansion and brainstorming, meeting with the desire with Venus and Sun to elevate things, talk about things, bring things to the table, be fair, combined with Saturn and Aquarius, which is going to take into account people's diverse points of view and try to find a new structure of how things could look. So the best energy in the chart is bringing people to the table, but not getting lost in petty details, but bringing people to the table with a problem-solving, diplomatic, and inclusive solution. Boy, doesn't that sound lovely and idealistic right now in the face of what we know is going on in the world. But that's what the best energy in the chart is, and it's there. We can aspire to that. So my main advice here would be check your emotional reactivity during this full moon. If you find yourself getting really angry or feeling like you're unseen, or that you've got to just up the ante with your intensity, take a good look at where this wound is coming from. It's probably an old wound, and yes, you might need to do things to heal it, but the way you go about it might not be super effective to you getting what you need. The air signs and the energy of like, let's come to the table, let's listen, let's find the right people to sit at the table, so that when we discuss this, we're going to have a higher minded solution. Like, it's going to be hard. You got to recognize, am I in a complete tantrum here? Or, you know, is that energy in you, that fight in you, just so raw that it's got to come out that way, like a volcano? And if it does, well, it's going to activate a lot of things. And we know it can activate a lot of things in in the end, sometimes something that seems a bit destructive at first was needed to push things ahead. Not everything can be done just by talking about it all the time. So these are sort of our decisions with this full moon. There's a lot of cerebral energy, and then there's a lot of raw, really raw primal emotion that's really tough. You know, you're talking about completely different energies, completely different chakras. And is it a choice which one? You know, if you're in that much emotion with the Aries moon, it'll be very hard. You won't feel like there's a choice. For those of you that might be a bit more detached, or you feel like you're embroiled in just, like I said, petty details, or people trying to complicate things, or whatever you're discussing doesn't feel like it's productive or going anywhere, if it has a dead energy to it, even though everyone's blah, 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 then you also need to pull out and try to find this higher minded trine energy. It's trying to rise above and find like a new picture and a bigger picture, instead of, you know, churning in the and fighting and, you know, aggravating in the primal emotions. The other area that is also supported is you've got Pluto making a trine also to Mercury. So that's again this earthy, practical side. Sort of gives me a feeling of Mercury and Virgo appealing to Pluto and Capricorn, like with the right details, with the right language, with the right approach, Pluto might offer some help. It might do the right thing. Pluto is also making a nice trine down here to our North Node in Uranus again. So it's not a complete trine. It's almost, I mean, some people would say 10 degrees is allowable. Some people say 9. As you can see, 18 degrees, 28 degrees. That's why they haven't drawn the blue line for like another trine. It's pretty close though. So yeah, I mean, those revolutionary energies of Taurus, Uranus and Taurus, and Pluto, and then Mercury and Virgo. You know, it's hard to say. It depends what we're applying this to. If you're applying this to, well, the overall feeling I get is that revolutionary energy has this Virgo Mercury on it, which is a good thing. Feels like a good thing to me, because, like I said, it's more of a detached fact checker. And so if people are honoring and respecting and listening to the fact checker, it should diffuse a lot of the emotional stuff, a lot of the fighting, as long as the fact checker doesn't get too angry or too frustrated. And he might, or she might. Because when Uranus, you know, the revolutionary energy, and Pluto are together and they're working well together, that can sometimes bring in like a fast and sweeping change. And that might, you know, if used for ill, it can be a bad sweeping change, but it can also be a good sweeping change. It has the potential to be both. You know, Pluto Uranus North Node together could easily be, you know, an announcement for aid money, let's say, to go to people in the flood zones. It could be like an enormous push to help rebuild something or revamp a system. So let's hope it goes in that direction. The thing is, when the moon and Chiron are together in Aries, screaming for whatever reason, it's pretty hard for us now to think in a different way and not just be focused on the screams. It's sort of like, imagine you're in a park and there's a beautiful circle going on. You know, everyone's passing passing around like a feather type of deal, like a story circle, let's say. And there's music and people are going into more of a sacred space, and they're going to try to discuss and try to solve something and as a collective. And then you've got a kid screaming across the park, you know. So where's your attention going to go? Are you able to maintain your bigger picture and your peace and accept the kid screaming until mom comes? Or is it going to just drive you mad, and you won't be able to stay present of mind? That's sort of how, the Chiron and Aries moon might feel. And you have to determine, is the little kid just having a tantrum and frustrated, just needs some lunch or a nap? Or is there really some distress, and do you need to step up, jump up and act and save the kid? We're going to have to determine that in the world and also in our own lives when you hear like calls for help. So it is looking like a bit of an intense full moon, gotta say. And the best advice I can give then is try to imagine that peace circle in the middle of the park. See if you can arrive at that energy in your life or with others. And it's not to deny how people are feeling. It's so that you can try to get a bird's eye view and try to think in a new way for a different solution, something that hasn't been done or thought of before. And that will help the situation and make it more efficient sooner, hopefully. All right, let's take a look at our tarot now for this full moon. All right. Oh, the other thing I should mention about Aries moons is headaches. Aries rules the head and the blood. And so if you are prone to headaches or migraines, you might want to take care. Take care of yourself well in the lead up to the full moon, because it could bring on the headaches. All right, let's see. Generally. All right, so the first card is the Prince of Swords. He's, clever, smooth talking. Could be funny or witty. Could be a con artist. He'll certainly be entertaining or charming, but he's not somebody to trust. Rarely follows through on his words, sometimes outright deceitful as well. But like I said, could be entertaining or charming. Do you know anyone like this? Seven of Wands, somebody has to stand up to him, put boundaries with him, tell him no. This is sounding like a few people, isn't it? When you think on the political stage, Prince of Swords, standing up to the bully, standing up to the liar, saying no to the manipulator, saying no to the one who can't commit. And when you do, you get the sun, you're going to feel a lot better. Your joy will return. Your sense of peace, your sense of, the world is fine again. So if there is anyone in and around you who's fitting these descriptions, then you do need to do something and set some boundaries. I'm sorry, this fall weather, I've had plenty of sleep and yet I'm still yawning like a bear. So pardon me. So yeah, the sun is like a return to your sense of joy and peace and innocence after there is a standing up to this person. Hopefully that plays out on a global stage too. We have the Eight of Wands. things moving quickly after that, spontaneous, maybe a bit of traveling, quick ideas, bouncy. It's a bouncy, fast feeling. Mercury in Sag thinks quickly, says what they think, doesn't hold back. You can see the lightning bolts springing in different directions with the rainbows. So after this person or influence has been dealt with, the sun comes back and you have enormous energy to do a lot of things and do things quickly, which will be fun. It'll feel like finally nothing's in my way. Here we go. Now, the Three of Swords is interesting after that. The card of loss. Well, I don't know until I pull the next card how to make sense of that one because that's so dramatic. But this is a card of sorrow and loss, sometimes literally passing. But there's a grieving. Now, sometimes, you know, there won't be anybody that's passing or anything terrible going on for you. Don't take it that way that I'm predicting that for everyone, because I'm not. But grief, you know, is a crazy thing. It can just come up at any time. This can be the weight of the world on you. This could be something that happened a few years ago that you're still grieving. So it's in the air. Might not happen to you. Could be some people around you. There's certainly enough of it going on with there's certainly enough of it going on all over. Let's see. Oh, we've got the Nine of Pentacles after that. That's gain. So it's a card of finances. Well, it's weird, but you know, a card of loss and then a card of financial gain. Well, let's just say, one way that this could make sense is people who lost their homes receiving financial aid. That would be nice. Some people, yes, there's a loss and there is inheritance. Other people, I don't know, this could be representing financial losses in some way. But I get a feeling this feels more like a global thing, countries, not really individuals. You know, there's been the pound, the British pound has been going up and down like crazy. Our dollars, you know, the values of our dollars are rearranging a lot. There could be sort of a spike, a high and a low. I mean, all of this happens all the time when crazy things happen in the world and markets change and then they rebound, you know? So we might see a bit more of that. You might want to just be careful with your investing. And then we've got this guy, okay? King of Pentacles, so he's nice and solid and steady. And he's got his finances and his shit together. So somebody's stabilizing on the scene to help things out. Ah, well, look at that. Priestess. This is going to turn out for the better somehow. I don't know what this is going to represent, but if there's sort of something that seems to dip or scare us, like a shock wave, it feels like it recovers very quickly. It's like some influence comes in to repair it, restore it, make it better, and things do get better than they were. In a broader sense, it's not just, oh, money was lost and there it's replaced. The priestess is bigger than that. It's divine feminine energy. It's so you have somebody solid coming in to restore things, and then you have the divine feminine. Whatever solutions come out of this, Might be quite reassuring or inspiring. And then look at that Ace of Swords we end off on. People feeling a new lease on life, new clarity. Wow. This has given me a really good feeling. Oh. Sometimes I got to tell you, my predictions, they're not exactly happening right now, this full moon. Sometimes people over the many years I've been doing this for 20, 30 years, they've been telling me that they'll listen to my predictions for a few months and it starts to happen. It won't always happen when I've said it, but in the next few months it'll happen, sort of thing. So this is giving me a very good feeling right now that, the first cards we said are standing up to a bully, putting someone in their place, and things unravel and unfold for the much better after this. Oh, that gives me an enormous relief, whether that's Putin or Trump or Kim Jong-un or anybody. Something's happening, man. The world's too big. I cannot tap into all of it at once to be that specific. I wish I could. Trust me, I wish I could, but I think I would like keel over or something. All right, let's try to think of a good way to phrase the readings for individual readings now. So let's focus on that Aries moon side of it. Whether you're going to need to tap into your inner warrior side this full moon, or whether you are going to need to watch your reactivity. So warrior or reactor? Which one? How do you handle it? All right, so just gonna spread the cards. Where's my sage? Oh, I think we need a bit of sage before this full moon. There we go. Oh, always feels good. All right, let's see, Aries. And so this will definitely be hitting you. It's in your sign and Chiron is there. You might already be feeling sort of charged up right now. So Aries, warrior or reactor? Okay, you're going to be both. Sorry. You've got cruelty, betrayal card, Mars and Gemini. So whether this is a fresh sense of feeling betrayed or screwed over or lied to or played with or gaslit, if it's a fresh one, you're going to be fierce. If it's an old one and you're revisiting it, I'd say you're going to be more in your hyper reactive, overreactive stage, and to be careful. So if you're revisiting an old hurt or wound or old betrayal, it's not going to be the timing to reach out and give them a piece of your mind or to call them one more time hoping it resolves or anything like that. If it's a one from the past, it's like, no, let it lie. Like, talk to your friends about it or your therapist, but try not to do anything about it. If it's a fresh one and you've caught someone out, they better watch out. That's all I can say. They better bloody watch out because you're not having it. All right. Jeez, that's a fierce one to start. Oh gosh. Okay. Taurus, warrior or reactor? Oosh. Wow. It's both. It's both. I get a feeling you are clearing some air, that you might need to have a rip-roaring argument You might need to, I don't know, throw stuff out, break stuff. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying go out there and smash things. I'm just saying break stuff. What do I mean? Like, that energy of just like chopping wood, getting it out of your system. Yeah. Physically purging, emotionally and verbally purging. That's the feeling I get for you this full moon. And that the death card is like, you might feel like whatever you've said or done, or whatever that fight was about, or whatever comes up, that's it. It's over. It's gone. But it's not, because the death card is a quick transformer, and something better comes in its place. So it's not that you're destroying something that will stay down and out and destroyed and you've like set yourself back. If you look closely, the sickle is cutting the cords that bind, and the spirits are now free. This death card, I love this one because he's literally cutting away the karma or the cords that bind you. He's freeing you. So whatever you need to do, even if it's fierce under this full moon, I think you need to do it to free you. So will you be reactive? Yeah. Will you be in your warrior at the same time? Yeah. Both. All right. Gemini, warrior or reactor? Oh, you're a warrior. Oh, yeah. You're ready to put your weight and authority and power behind whatever comes up. Nobody's messing with you right now. You are fully ready to be confident and stand your ground. So I don't know what situations are coming up for you, but as we mentioned in the chart, there's a lot of sort of frustrating energy with Mars and Gemini and the different squares, and people just like haggling and being petty and gossipy or changing their mind, or they won't hold to what they said. Gemini, you're going to come in and go, excuse me, that's what's happening. That's what I said. That's what I'm doing. You're going to come in fierce. So you're going to definitely have your warrior on. Nice. And the other good thing about that, Gemini, is I feel like you're going to do it not just for yourself, but it's affecting other people as well. So you're doing it for other people's benefit as well as your own. Cancer is warrior or reactor? Cancer, you're constipated. You're holding it in too much. You're trying to control everything too much. So you will benefit from the Aries if you let yourself unleash a little bit. The Chariot, as noble as it is, he's trying to get everybody to be on the same page so that they can all just go forward in the Chariot. And they're all just sitting there on him going, I'm not moving. Are you? I'm not moving. And he's got all this armor. It is a Cancer card. You see the crab on top of his helmet? He's got this huge disc in front of his solar plexus, sort of self-protective, but it also shows how much power he's got once he unleashes the Chariot. So you're holding back and waiting, and you're not unleashing the Chariot. So what's that mean when there's all that Aries moon stuff in the air? You're going to be constipated and frustrated if you don't let something out. So here's the thing. If you're not in a position where you're ready to like unleash yourself, get mad or whatever you have to do, or then do something like to physically outlet the energy, like dance, sing, go for a hike, write a song, I don't care, journal, do something to get that energy physically out of your body if you're not ready to act on it. Because otherwise you're going to be one of the people holding back, absorbing, consolidating, and everybody might come to you with their warrior or reactor. So try not to let yourself absorb so much stuff and physically or emotionally or verbally outlet something over the full moon. Leos, warrior or reactor? Six of Pentacles, success. Sort of feels like you don't need to do either one. Sort of feels like, while everyone else is freaking out, you just go along as usual and you just get things done. And you might be able to get a lot of things done while everybody's busy reacting. You can just sort of slide under the radar. Oh, I'm over here now. Yeah, I sort of like this. It's sort of like you're laying low, you're staying cool and calm. You're not getting involved. And you'll just slide underneath all the drama and just end up, oh, there I am. I did that. I'm over here now. Oh, that's a good message. That's a good one. Okay, Virgos. Reactor or warrior? Uh-oh. Reactor. Be careful, Virgo. This is the failure card. Saturn and Taurus, Seven of Pentacles. Please try not to over-worry, overthink, dark thoughts, projected worst-case scenarios, all of that stuff. You might find this particular full moon just way too much going on and it's way too intense and it starts you down the spiral. So are you dealing with feelings of feeling like you're failing, like you failed? Is it because you can't fix what's going on around you or the people going around you right now? Can you be okay that you can't fix the world? You can't fix anybody but yourself? Then maybe that will elevate this feeling like you failed. You can start practically applying all of your overthinking to help with solutions instead of inwards towards yourself. You might be a bit snippy, snappy, irritable if you don't forgive yourself and stuff. All right. Libras, are you warrior or reactor? You're a warrior, definitely. Take no prisoners here. She's ready to say, and do whatever is necessary, quick and painless. Right? Look at her. She just chopped off his head, holding the sword. Hello. Yeah, she is definitely in the warrior mode. Dropping cards on the floor, sorry. So yeah, Libra, you've had enough. You don't have any patience for certain things right now, right? Uncharacteristically, you might just sort of be saying no. Or saying things, you know, a little more curt or quickly, without as much, even though we've said the Sun and Venus are there in Libra, but there's enough stuff opposing it to maybe throw you off. I don't know. I get a feeling that you are out of patience for something and you're just going to cut straight through it and say something. You know, that might be the person who's like whining to you for the 75th time. You know, that could be anything where you've had enough of it. All right, Scorpios, warrior or reactor? Well, again, neither. You don't need to be either. You look like you're off having your own fun. You're off in your own zone, your own world. You're doing your own thing. You've sort of found a way to rise above all this drama going on in the world. You're thinking of your own plans, your own life. You might be helping some people out who are near to you, near and dear to you. But I think you're pretty protected. You know, the sun seems to be shining around you, and I don't think you're going to be super affected. You've got a few people you're focused on right now that are close to you, and other than that, there's a bubble. You're not getting involved. So whatever is going on with the people that you've chosen, you're going to spend your life force with. Well, then you're there for it. And so it doesn't really feel like an exterior situation hits you and you have to be warrior mode or whatever. So very interesting. Yeah, I think you're doing well right now. You're sort of immune. All right. Sagittarius, warrior or reactor? Four of Pentacles, Four of Cups. I mean. I'm inclined to say more the warrior, but this is like a card of emotion that's flowing and nurturing and comforting and but I'm inclined to say warrior because when it comes to Sag and the truth-telling aspect and the unleashing of whatever you think, you know, when you see a card with water gushing, it's sort of like, okay, Sag is just going to unleash what it needs to say and unleash what it feels. But I get a feeling it's more from an empowered place. It could happen in private in a very healing way where you unleash and you unload and you feel so relieved afterwards. And if it's in a context where it involves other people, I would see it more being like stepping up and unleashing whatever needs to be done or said for yourself or on behalf of others. So definitely not reactive. It's chosen, it's necessary. If you feel the floodgates are opening, and you feel like it's the right thing to do, then it is. It'll be very instrumental and healing for you and for others. That's a nice one. Capricorn, warrior or reactor? Unfortunately, this is reactor. The devil, you feel misinterpreted, you feel put in a corner, you feel people are trying to manipulate something or control. If you're around anyone like that, or you feel people are trying to do that to you, I would see you're going to be more reactive first than productive. So you will have to be careful this full moon that Aries doesn't bring out, like, you know, an emotional storm in you. Yeah. The devil is usually, you know, it's our lower self. So if you're the one who's having a bad reaction, then you have to be careful that you're not the one sort of controlling or, you know, overbearing because of your strong emotions. Yeah, sorry, Capricorn, but you got to be careful this weekend. All right, Aquarius, warrior or reactor? Right, of course. Just walk away, detach, who cares? Not get involved. So it's definitely not the warrior. Might be a bit of a reactor. If something happens and you find it just over the top or too much or too intense emotionally, then you're just going to detach and walk away. You're just going to, that's it, getting out of here. So very interesting. Just see how different the range of what reactive and what warrior looks like, huh? As we go through, I find this fun. So yeah, Aquarius, I get a feeling that nothing's going to touch you directly too much, but you might just be overhearing. I don't know, could be just like, you know what, enough news, click, I'm not listening. It could be meetings at work, it could be family just going on, and you're going to be like, you know what, I'm just going to go for a drive. I'm not going to get involved, I'm not going to weigh in. So you're going to spot it pretty quickly. I don't feel it's going to be too emotionally intense for you. And Pisces, finally, warrior or reactor. Ah, lovely. So again, a very different kind of reaction. You're just going to trust your gut, trust your intuition about whatever comes up, whatever happens, however people are reacting around you, you're going to go with the overall gut feeling or energy that you feel as it happens. You're going to just let your gut tell you what to do or not do. So it's not really like being a warrior, like I'm dashing in and I'm going to make sure and this and no. And it's not reactive like, oh no, I don't want to, no, I don't feel like it. I don't want to deal with this. You're going to be more like, this needs this right now, or I need to do this, or so it's more subtle. It's like, it's not an all or nothing decision. It's fluid, and it's going with how you feel and what your gut tells you in the moment. And it could be pulling back a bit just to be in your own sort of meditation or your whatever connects you more to your sense of your spirit. You might pull back and do more of that during this full moon, and that would be fine. But other people can definitely benefit from this energy from you if you're feeling a little more compassionate and intuitive and not as emotionally involved without cutting it all out, just a little bit of a distance. You might be able to help other people along with what's going on. Well, that was a very interesting full moon reading. As always, I invite you to message me and tell me how it was. And again, if you want to subscribe to my channel, please do. If you would like to subscribe and support me on Patreon, that would be awesome. And if you would like a reading, just message me at Facebook, Instagram, or river-rain.com. And I'll see you again soon.